You're live. I'm going to go mute.
All right. What's up, everybody? Please invite your friends, invite your family. I'm making a post right now on
So it's on your personal page right now. You can share it into the Money Mastermind group.
Okay. So I posted on my personal page and I tagged the Money Mastermind. I said we live right now. We are live.
If you go to your Facebook on the main account, on your profile, you can see that you're live right now. Share that into the Money Mastermind group.
Oh, wow. Okay. Got it. Okay, I see it. Oh, wow. Okay. Got it. So I hit share.
Share into group.
So I hit share.
Share into group. Got it?
Yeah, I see it right now. I see it. Share into group.
Got it?
Yes. Yeah, I see it right now. I see it. Share into group. Got it? Yes. Oh, I like this. As a matter of fact, I would have boosted this. To be honest. I like this. All right, Mr. Manager, you let me know when I should start, and we should start. I got my water if I get parched. I mean, if we got 3 people, I'm ready. Like 5 people, I'm ready.
Okay, start whenever you feel comfortable. Yeah, you're good to go.
Okay. First and foremost, I want to appreciate everybody for being here tonight. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to spend some time with us. But the purpose of this is to add some value to your life. And what we're going to do is talk about credit repair. We know right now it's tax season. And if you like me and anybody else, you know right now it's a lot of people out there that's making a whole lot of promises. And my thing is, you don't have to pay if you can't afford it. Like, you could actually learn this and get it done. And that's the purpose of this video. And we're going to do this once or twice every week. We're going to bring value to people. We're going to bring professionals up. And we're going to talk about basically how to take your good to excellent credit and leverage it into assets. And everything we talk about from experience. We're not guessing. If you watch these people on social media, you will soon realize that one person repeats the same thing 200 other people are saying. That's because they've never done the work. We've actually done the work. So everything that we talk about, everything, we've actually done the work. We've removed the guessing out of the process. All right, we've removed the guessing. So let's go ahead and get started tonight. And also, we're going to put this on our YouTube page. So if I go too fast, don't worry about it. You can go to our YouTube page, take notes, follow the directions. It's going to be there for you, available. And again, we're going to do this once or twice a week. All right. This is our very first one. I'm very excited about this. I feel like I popped my cherry. Also, behind the scenes is our social media manager, Mr. Darius. He is a wonderful, wonderful young man. Mr. Darius, his very first real estate flip, he made $100,000 because he put the work in. He did his homework. He met the right people. He was able to remove the guessing out of the process. The same thing we're doing tonight. We're removing the guessing out of the process. But his very first flip, he made $100,000. He's going to talk about that in the weeks coming ahead. But he is our social media manager. He's the one that put all this together. Wonderful young man. We're like the odd couple. You know, I'm 50. He's like 23. So we're like the odd couple. So great guy. So please share this with your friends. Share this with your relatives. Let's get started. Okay, again, tonight we're talking about do-it-yourself credit repair, because oftentimes it's so many companies out there, you don't know who to trust. You don't know who you could pay. So I'm going to show you some tips and techniques to where you can actually do your own credit. The reason why people pay us to do their credit is because we have the time to do it. If you're a single mother, if you are a happily married couple, but you both work 8, 10, 12 hours a day, and you got to come home and deal with the children and deal with life, you don't have that time. And when it comes to credit repair, it's all about consistency and persistency. So that's why people pay us. We're not magicians. We just have the time to do it. So the name of our company is Pleasant Management. Who is this for tonight? This is for startup entrepreneurs, all right? People that need capital to start their businesses. This is for you, all right? This is for parents. This is for people who want to move into better communities, to have better education, better environments for their children, better social skills for their children. This is for you. This is for current business owners. This is for people who need capital to expand their businesses. You may need equipment. You may need to try to get a loan of credit. You may need financing for payroll to expand your employee base. This is for you. For people that want to purchase a home or an auto, even if you're trying to get better employment. I have a client right now. I have a client. He was called into the human resource office, right? And they told him, hey, you got 2 collections on your credit report that you need to deal with, because there are certain employers that will not hire you if you have bad credit, if you have collections on your credit report, or if you currently work there like him and you don't address the collections, they will terminate you based off of that. This is for people that want to get better interest rate. These are some of the benefits of good credit and some of the benefits of having excellent credit. You're going to get better interest rates, all right? You could bypass deposits. You could bypass down payments. You get better discounts on insurance, better discounts. Also, what we always talk about, you can leverage your credit into assets. We can actually teach you how to take your credit cards and leverage those into assets and so much more. Background, who am I? My name is Timothy James Gordon Bay. All my friends, and I want you to call me Mo or Big Mo. I was born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri. 2 wonderful parents. I grew up in a 2-family household, only child, Taurus, so I'm spoiled as fuck. I lived in Miami for an extended period of time. I have a bachelor's degree from the University of Missouri, St. Louis in business management. I'm married to a wonderful, supportive wife, and I use that and I say that for a reason. When you're dealing with credit repair and you're in a relationship, you're in a union, whether it's your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, that other half, if they're not on the same journey that you're on, they have to understand that your mindset is going to change. Once you start that journey, your mindset is going to change. Your financial responsibility is going to change. And if they don't understand that, it can create strife in the relationship. So that's the reason why I say I have a wonderful, supportive wife. And also, my wife is from Liberia, and her father's auntie, which is her great aunt, was the first woman's president of Liberia. Her name is Shirley Johnson Latif. She was the first woman president of Liberia, but that is my wife's great aunt. Why do I do this? It's a great question. I do this because, first and foremost, I know what it feels like to struggle. That's first and foremost. I know what it feels like to struggle. I had a job as an executive, one of the highest ranking executives in the company I work for, and I was making $500,000 a year. And I went from making $500,000 a year to living in a shelter. All right. And of course, it was a process that I went through to get there, but I was there. I worked 2 full-time jobs to try to get myself back to where I needed to be. And in the process of working 2 full-time jobs, I realized that no matter how much money you make, if you don't have good credit, you will not get good housing. You will not be afforded the opportunity to make that brand new purchase, that brand new vehicle. You will not get the opportunity to make investments without good credit. I made good money. I was working 2 jobs. I made great money. But everywhere that I wanted to work, I could not get a job. They would not give me a house. No one would give me a house. Nobody. No one would give me an apartment. So what ended up happening, even though I was in a shelter in St. Louis, Missouri, I had to drive an hour and a half to Belleville, Illinois. And luckily, the owner of this property trusted me enough, even with bad credit, to give me an opportunity to rent one of his properties. But I had to drive an hour and a half outside of my city in order to find an environment that I felt was conducive to my growth and to my safety. Another reason why I do this is because during that time, the majority of the people I knew, they all had bad credit. Everybody. So even if I needed a co-signer, I couldn't find a co-signer because everybody had bad credit. Another reason why I do this, physical and financial freedom. That's a picture of my wife right there. When I talk about financial freedom, I was blessed with the opportunity back in March of last year. I ordered my wife a 2023 Camaro convertible special edition RS, just because it wasn't her birthday. It wasn't nothing we were celebrating. It was because of how she supports me and support our business and her undying loyalty. So I was granted the opportunity to be able to purchase her a brand new vehicle. I think we ordered the vehicle in March and the vehicle arrived like in August or September. So another reason why I wholeheartedly support credit repair is because of the physical and the financial freedom that it allows me to have along with my wife and my children. If my children call me right now and say, hey, no, Dad, I'm in a tight situation. Can you help me out? I'm able to do that, to help them out. I read an article today. 57% of Americans do not have $1,000 in the event of an emergency. Think about that. 57% of Americans do not have $1,000 in the event of an emergency. And if you're one of those people on the side of 57%, that's a problem. That's a problem. And one of the reasons it could be is because of your credit. Because of your credit. All right? If you guys want to make any comments in the comment box, again, Darius, you're going to make sure anything that needs to be addressed is going to be addressed. So right now, what I want to do, I want to talk about mindset. When it comes to credit repair, you have to understand that there are certain laws that protect you. Okay? There are laws that protect you. One of the laws that protect you as a consumer is the Fair Credit Reporting Act. As a matter of fact, this is the Bible for all credit restoration companies. This book right here. When you hear guys talk about 15 USC Section 5 block, they got that from here. Okay, this book right here. Right now, this book is on a 2-year back order. It's on a 2-year back order. All right. But this is the Bible for all credit restoration companies right now. This is the Fair Credit Reporting Act book. This is the law. All right. It's federal law that protects you as a consumer from the credit reporting agencies. Okay. There are laws that protects you. The FTC, which is the Federal Trade Commission, they have a division called the Bureau of Consumer Protection of the Consumer Protection Agency. The Consumer Protection Agency have 2 main laws that they enforce. One is the FCRA, the Fair Credit Reporting Agency, and the other one is the Fair Debt Practices. All right. Those are the main 2 that they enforce. And the reason why I say this is because I want people to understand that you're not at the liberty of just being abused by credit reporting companies, right? These companies have bylaws and they have guidelines and they have regulations that they have to follow. Okay? Case in point, with the Fair Credit Reporting Agency, it says that your credit report has to be free and clear of all errors. All errors, all right? That means that everything on your credit report has to be spot on correct. The spelling of your name, your date of birth, your address, your employee, any payments that you made on any credit cards, everything has to be spot on. And if it's not spot on, it has to be removed from your credit report, right? So the FCRA, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, they regulate and they sanction what I call the big 3. The big 3 credit reporting companies is TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. These are the main 3 credit reporting agencies. All right. Out of the 3, the number 1 is TransUnion. They are used the majority of the time. The majority of the time is TransUnion. You also have dozens of smaller consumer reporting agencies. Dozens of them. But we're going to deal mostly with the big 3, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. And we're going to deal with about 5 or 6 of the smaller, mostly used agencies during this live stream. Now, when it comes to collection companies, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act says that collection companies have to work within a certain perimeter. I don't know about you guys, but it used to be a company when I grew up called Rent-A-Center. And some of you guys may remember Rent-A-Center. If you went to Rent-A-Center and you wanted to rent one of their products, they would ask you for 5 references. And you would have to write down 5 references in order to rent a product from Rent-A-Center. And what Rent-A-Center would do, they would call and verify your 5 references. This, in essence, what they were doing. If you missed the payment, or say you moved and you took their product with you and you didn't notify them, they would harass your 5 references so bad to where your references will they will force you to call Rent-A-Center and make amends. Like, do something, take the product back, pay the bill, do something. But these people keep calling me every day. Rent-A-Center will call your job, your mom, your dad. They would call you at midnight. So because of their practices, the Fed said that, listen, we cannot allow this to continue to happen, because other companies started doing it too. Other companies was doing it. Radio Shack. I mean, you got to be a certain age to understand what I'm saying, but a lot of companies back in the 80s and 90s were doing the same thing that Rent-A-Center was doing, to the point to where they would actually go to your job and talk to your employer. They would talk to your employer. Hey, you understand this guy owes us money? And some people were getting terminated because the employer was fed up with these companies calling them, harassing them about a debt that you owe. So that's the reason why the Fed stepped in and they came out with the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act in order to stop that. So now collection companies cannot call you when they feel like it. As a matter of fact, I tell all our clients, don't even talk to collection companies. When they call you, tell them you got the wrong number. And we're going to talk about that later. You know what I'm saying? But don't even talk to collection companies. But they cannot harass you. They cannot threaten you. They cannot, call you at 6 o'clock in the morning. They cannot call your employer. They cannot call your next of kin. All those things are not only against the law, but if they do it, you can sue them in court. And if you can prove it, you would absolutely win. You can sue them. Collection companies. If any of you have ever dealt with collection companies, the first thing they say is, we are on a recorded line and this is an attempt to collect a debt. That's the first thing a collection company would say. And the reason why they say that is because they can legally lie to you in order to collect the debt. They can legally lie to you. Most of the time, let's say, for instance, let's say a company like AT&T. AT&T has a lot of bad debt, and they sell this bad debt to a company called Midland Capital. Midland Capital is one of the biggest collection companies in the nation. They sell them a bunch of debt. What happens is, when AT&T sells the debt to Midland Capital, when they sell that debt, the only thing they send them is your name, your address, and the amount of the debt. I'm going to say that again. They only send them your name, your address, and the amount of the debt. That's all they send them. So the first thing what happens with a collection company, if you've ever dealt with them, and I have, when they call you, the first thing they say is, we need to verify who you are. Can you give us the last 4 digits of your social? Can you give us your date of birth? Can you give us your current employer? You don't know that you're actually giving them information that they don't have. They don't have it. But you don't know this. You don't know this. When they say, can you verify the last 4 digits of your social? That's because they don't have it. And you give it to them. When they say, can you verify your date of birth? They don't have it. And you give it to them. Can you verify your current employer? They don't have it. And you give it to them. It's all a tactic. It's a trick to get your information. So I'm saying, anytime a collection company calls you, the best thing you can say is, this is not me. That's it. Because remember, you are on a recorded line. Everything you say to them people on the phone is recorded. And I'm going to tell you how dangerous that is. I have had clients that have had collection companies call them And in the attempt just to blow them off, they just say anything like, hey, look, man, call me back next Tuesday. I get paid. Maybe I can make a payment on this. You just admitted that that's your debt. Anytime you talk to a collection company, you are admitting that is your debt. If you ever dealt with the police, what the first thing they say? You have the right to remain silent. I'm telling you, when you're dealing with a collection company, you have a right to remain silent. Don't say nothing. And also, since COVID, collection companies like Midland, LVND, and others, they are suing people because they need to make their money. So if you ever get a summons in court from a collection company, please, please, please go to court on that summons. I don't care if you just go to court and say, look, I'm broke, I can't afford this. Hey, I don't remember if this me or not. Can you prove to me that this is my debt? Like, do not blow that summons off, because what will happen is you will have a court date and you don't show up for that court date, you will lose judgment. And 2 or 3 weeks after that judgment, they will start garnishing your wages. I have clients right now that are going through that as we speak. I have clients right now that are getting their wages garnished just because they simply didn't go to court. And that's the same with repossessions. A lot of companies that if they repossess your car and they taking you to court, and unfortunately, man, with a lot of our people, we feel like, we don't take it very serious. They are garnishing wages. And it will ruin your life, because once you get a judgment against you, it is so hard and difficult to reverse that. It is easier to deal with it on the front end of the situation than the back end of the situation. Okay, and everything I'm saying tonight, I'm saying from experience, and I'm saying from passion, because I've had people that's going through this right now, and I see how destructive and how devastated it is to their lives. When you're a single mother with 2-3 kids and they're taking 25% of your gross income, that's pretty devastating. And it's happening because you neglected. You didn't think it was serious. And it's very serious. All right? It's very serious. So let's get started. One thing about credit repair, remember, this is a marathon. It is not a race. When I first started doing the credit repair, 4 or 5 months, profile good, ready to go. Now credit repair is taking about a year. I have clients that have been with me for 2 years, and I'm being totally transparent. I have clients that have been with me for 2 years for whatever situation, you know what I'm saying? But this is definitely a marathon. It doesn't happen overnight. I tell people the best time to fix your credit is when you don't need it. Unfortunately, most of my clients that call me and I give consultations to, they call me because they have to move in July. They need a car right now. And because they're on social media, they think that's the way credit repair works, and it doesn't. I seen an ad just today. It was for $3,000, and we'll clear your credit within 30 to 45 days. And what these people are doing is illegal. They are filing fake identity theft reports. They're filing fake police reports, and they're actually putting your freedom and liberty at bay when they do that, because oftentimes through social media, you don't know who these people are. So you pay them $3,000, they wipe your credit clean, you thinking they did a good job, and you got the police knocking on your door saying, hey, look, you filed an identity theft report on things that were actually legitimate. Because let's be real, oftentimes the things that we're trying to challenge off our credit reports, we actually did. We actually did that. And we're just trying to find loopholes to get it removed, like those errors I was talking about. All right. So let's just be honest. When people tell you they can do something in 30 to 45 days, it's not possible. And I'm telling you right now, it's not possible. All right. They're doing something illegal, and you're going to be the one that go to jail and not them. Okay? You're going to be the one to go to jail and not them. So this is a marathon. It's about consistency and persistency. And that's the reason why in the beginning of this live stream, I said the reason why most people pay us is because this is all we do. We don't do nothing else. This is all we do. Okay, I want you to understand your credit before we get into some other procedures and tactics of fixing your credit. I want you to understand your credit. And I ask my clients all the time, what is credit? I ask them, I say, what is credit? And some people know and some people don't. But in a nutshell, credit is the ability to borrow money or goods and pay for it later over a certain period of time with interest or fees. All right? That's what credit is. Credit is basically saying someone trusts you enough to say, hey, look, I'm going to give you this because I believe that you will pay me on time. That's basically what credit is in a nutshell, right? So your credit score ranges from 300 to 850. From 300 to 850. So you control 550 points of your credit score. Like you literally control that based off your activity. And the reason why I'm going through this is because I want you guys to have a mindset of credit. Like every day when I wake up, I check my credit report. Every morning when I wake up in the morning, I check my bank accounts. Every morning, I check my credit card statements. This is something I do every morning. It's my mindset because I know how important it is. I know what can happen if I miss a payment. I know what can happen if I'm a victim of identity theft. So every morning when I wake up, I have a routine. I check my credit report. I check my bank accounts. I check my credit card statements. I then go to my emails. I do this. This is a routine that I do every morning. So what I'm doing right now, I'm trying to create a mindset that if you start this credit repair journey, this is something you do every day. Every day. So your credit score ranges from 300 to 850. All right. 35% of your credit score is payment history. Payment history. So that is 192.5 points of your credit score. It's simple payment history. What's payment history? Paying your shit on time. That's it. 35% of your credit score. The biggest section of your credit score is simply paying your bills on time. That's it. 35%. You know what happens when you have a missed payment? Your score can drop 50 to 100 points just because of a missed payment. I tell all my clients, I would rather deal with a collection account than deal with a missed payment. Because with a missed payment, you are at the mercy of that creditor. And that creditor decides if he wants to remove that late payment or not. Let's say if you've been with Chase for 3 years and you had one missed payment. It may take you 4 months, 5 months to finally get to the right department to get that missed payment removed. But if you've had multiple missed payments on one account, it's not going to happen. And a missed payment can stay on your credit report for 2 years. Think about that. One missed payment. Not only do you lose 50 to 100 points, off a missed payment. But it could stay on your credit report for 2 years. So if you're trying to get new credit, you're trying to get lending, you're trying to get a line of credit from a creditor, from a bank, from a credit union, and they see that you missed a payment, do you think you're favorable in their eye? And you trying to get money from them? And these are the things you need to think about. That's what I say, create a mindset when it comes to your credit. The second thing of your credit is the amount owed, what people call utilization. That's your credit utilization. It's 30% of your credit. I want to explain it this way. If you have a credit card and it has $1,000 limit, all right? Your utilization is how much of that 1,000 you use per month. So most creditors like to see utilization 30% or less. I tell my clients, if you get ready to apply for new credit, we would like to see it 10% or less. But let's say you want to apply for a new credit card or apply for a loan. Generally, they like to see it 30% or less. So if you have $1,000 credit card, if you owe $300 or less, that's favorable to most creditors. But if you have $1,000 credit card and you owe $600 on that credit card, most likely, if you apply for new credit, new services, new goods, you're going to be denied because your credit utilization is 70%. And they're not going to approve you. And we could talk more about this. Hit me on the DMs. I can tell you more about credit utilization because it's a whole theory and algorithm when it comes to utilization. All right. The next thing is called credit history. Credit history is how long have you had credit? Length of credit. When it comes to length of credit, most of us, our longest credit history is most likely our student loans. All right. At least I know with me. My student loans started in 1995, and I'll probably be paying it to them in the grave. All right. So a lot of people always complain about student loans on their credit reports, and they're like, man, I want to get this taken off. Not knowing that you can remove your student loans and your credit score actually go down. Did you know that? If you have something on your credit report that's been around for a significant amount of time and you remove it, your score can go down. So a lot of my clients, particularly right now, they are doing student debt deferments. You know, I was able to help my daughter, who's about $250,000. She got a master's degree. She's about $250,000 in student loan debt. I was able to help her renegotiate her student loan, and she pays $36 a month. I pay like $27 a month on my student loans. So there's a program to where you can go in, renegotiate your student loan, start a repayment plan based off your income. And your income is stated income. So whatever you tell them, that's how they're going to base your monthly payment. Again, that's another conversation that's not based off this. So hit me in the DMs. We can have a conversation about that. I can give you all the data that you need in order to make that happen. Okay, the last two things. We talked about 35% payment history. We talked about 30% amount owed. We talked about 15% credit history. I got to make sure my manager ain't hitting me. The last two is credit mix 10% and new credit 10%. Credit mix is this. I tell my clients that it's not about your credit score. It's about your credit profile. All right. And profile will probably be my next video. Okay. It's not about your credit score. It's about your credit profile. By profile, I mean this. I mean this. Your credit mix is how much installment credit you have, how much revolving credit you have, and how much store credit you have. All right. Revolving credit is credit cards. It's pretty much like it's credit that's not the same every month. You know what I'm saying? Like your payment is not the same every month. That's revolving credit. Installment credit is the same amount you pay every month. So if you have a auto loan, that payment is pretty much every month. If you have a mortgage, that payment is pretty much every month. If you pay rent, and for those that don't know, yes, you can add your rent to your credit report. Hit me in the DMs. I'll show you how. That payment is the same every month. That is what is meant by revolving credit. It's the same payment every month. And then you have what's called store credit. Store credit is like a Walmart credit card. You can only use it at Walmart, Nordstrom's, Macy's, J.C. Penney's. You can only use that card at that particular vendor. All right. So you got revolving credit, installment credit, and store credit. That's what's meant by a credit mix. Those are some of the things that vendors look for. And the last 10% is new credit. Those are inquiries. Most lenders do not want to see more than 4 inquiries on a credit report. That's it. And the most I've ever seen on a client was 56. I had a client who's been around for 2 years with me right now. They had 56 inquiries. And how she was able to gain so many inquiries, she took a weekend and went car shopping from Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And if you don't know, I'm going to let you know right now, an auto dealership lot is the worst place to get a car. It's always best to go with a check in hand. Hit me the DMs. We can talk about that. But yes, they will run your credit through the ground, in the ground. But most lenders do not want to see more than 4 inquiries on a credit report because they call it phishing. If I could pull somebody's credit report, I can do this. I could pull your credit report and I can see that you got 15, 16, 20, 25 inquiries. And based off the dates of the inquiries, I know that you was looking for credit. You was looking for money. And lenders can do the exact same thing. So that's the reason why when you clean your credit, you have to remove those inquiries that are not attached to an account. If you have an inquiry that's attached to an account, let's say I have an Amex inquiry, but I got an Amex card, they kind of cancel each other out because those lenders know that, okay, you got this inquiry because you got this card. That's cool. But if I have 20 Amex inquiries, but I have no Amex card, I was fishing. All right. I was fishing. I was looking for money. And to them, that's a move of desperation. Okay. I'm gonna talk about that in the next live stream. Okay, now let's talk about actual fixing your credit. All right. We talked about the mindset. We talked about what you need to prepare. We talked about the discipline. Now, what do I need to do to actually fix my credit? Well, the first thing you want to do is pull your credit report. And there are several ways you can do this. If you see right there, it's www.annualcreditreport.com. But prior to 2020, 2021, Equifax had a huge breach, and 125 million people identities was stolen through Equifax. So what ended up happening is this. Annualcreditreport.com used to give you one free credit report every year. That was it. After that, you had to pay like $50, $60 to get another one. But after the Equifax breach, now they will give you one every week. Every week, you can go to annualcreditreport.com and get an actual credit report from all three bureaus, and you will know exactly what's going on in your life when it comes to credit. Now, they do not give you a credit score. They don't give you a credit score. They let you know what's going on as far as your credit report. All right? I tell people this often because I know a lot of you guys, you don't like spending money. No, I'm gonna be honest. You don't like spending money. Like, you know, you'll go to the club and buy drinks and shit and kick it and party and buy bottles. But if I tell you spend $40 a month on what's that, mama? It's my wife. Huh?
When you're done drinking that, you can just pull.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate that. So you guys don't like spending money, man. Like when it comes to something that's useful in your life, I don't know what it is. It's you would go to the extremes to show off to other people. But when I tell you, listen, Credit Karma and Credit Sesame are not credit reports. I need you to go to this website and enroll in this website, whether it be Identity IQ, Smart Credit, whatever it may be. And they go charge you $39 or $29 to do this. It's like, literally, I would lose clients. I would lose clients over $30 or $40 for us to know what's on your credit report, because people honestly think that Credit Karma and Credit Sesame gives them their credit reports. They don't. All right. Credit Karma and Credit Sesame are not consumer reporting agencies. They're not. All right. They're not. The job of Credit Karma and Credit Sesame is to convince you to buy products from their websites. That's the reason why you will get emails from them that will say you've been pre-approved for this, you've been selected for that. As a matter of fact, the FCRA, the FTC have sued Credit Karma and Credit Sesame so many times for deceptive practices, because they will send you an email, and some of you know this. If you got a Milestone card, Indigo, Credit One, First Premier, all those cards come from Credit Sesame and Credit Karma. So if you got one of those cards, you got tricked into applying because Credit Karma, Credit Sesame sent you an email that said, hey, you've been pre-selected, pre-approved for this card, and you apply, and they gave you $300. They gave you $200. I know Credit One have given people $100. $100. You got a hard pull on your credit. When lenders look at your credit report and they see that you got a credit card with $100, you think they're going to give you $5,000 credit card? And you only got a $100 credit card? Or are you trying to get business loans and you got Milestone, Indigo, Credit One, First Premier? You think a lender is going to give you $250,000, $500,000, and your highest credit card limit is $500? So Credit Karma and Credit Sesame is actually an enemy. They are an enemy to consumers, because their job is to make recommendations for you to get these subprime cards. And by the word subprime means this: if you have to pay an annual fee for a card, and that annual fee is not American Express, that's a subprime card. I pay $695 a year for my American Express Platinum. However, the rewards that they give me for having a Platinum balances out the $695. I actually had an Indigo credit card that I had to pay $195 a year for, and the credit limit was $300. It was $300, and I was paying $195 a year for a subprime card. So again, Credit Karma, Credit Sesame, they are not our friends. They are not credit reporting agencies. They are consumer agencies. Their job is strictly to sell you a product, because once you click on that card and you apply, whether you approve or not, they get paid. And they make billions of dollars a year, billions of dollars a year for you to do that. Also, you need to understand this. Credit Karma and Credit Sesame operate on a different scale than most of the nation. You have a Vantage score. You have a Vantage score, and you have a FICO score. Credit Sesame and Credit Karma give you a Vantage score. This is the problem. 98% of consumers operate off a FICO score. So when you get a Vantage score from them, this is what happens. You ever see that meme to where a guy goes to a car dealership and it says Credit Karma says my credit score was 705. You get to the car dealership and the car dealership goes, oh no, your credit score is a 550. That's generally what happens. You know what I'm saying? That's generally what happens, because the Vantage score is always anywhere from 15 to 20 to 70 points higher than a FICO score. So you always want to try to find a credit monitoring service that provides you with a FICO score. If you are a Capital One card holder, American Express card holder, most of your credit cards give you a free FICO score. You just got to go into the app, do some research, but almost every credit card gives you some type of free FICO score. All right. When you get your credit report, I want you to get a physical copy. I want you to get physical copy. Don't look at it on the computer. Get a physical copy of your credit report. All right. And the reason why is because you want to look for errors on your credit report. All right. You want to look for errors. You want to look for misspelling of your name. Okay. You want to look for misspelling, especially if you're a junior or a senior. I've had clients that were a junior or a senior, and because their names were the same, the junior had things on his credit report that belonged to the senior, and the senior had things on his credit report that belonged to the junior. So you want to look for misspelled names. You want to look for addresses. Most of the time, you're going to have every address you ever lived in on your credit report. You want to make sure you remove every address except your actual residence, especially if you was one of those kids that bounced around like me. You know, I live with my mom, I live with my grandma, I live with my godmother, I live with my uncle, and each time I moved, I've had mail sent to that address, and every time you've had mail sent to that address, it's on your credit report. Or if you filled out an application and you use that address, it's on your credit report. So when I did my credit, I literally had like 10 addresses on there just for me bouncing around. And sometimes I would have mail sent to other people's addresses, because say if I was at work and I lived in a high crime area, I would have my mail sent to my daughter's mom's house because I knew she worked from home. And if I apply for a credit card, of course, I don't want that credit card coming to my home, because I lived in North St. Louis, one of the most deadliest areas in the nation. I would have mail sent to her house, not knowing that her address was on my credit report. So you want to take all those old addresses off your credit report. You want to make sure that your date of birth is correct. Remember, these people are not infallible. They make mistakes. Okay, they make mistakes. You want to make sure that you have one name, one address, one date of birth. All your old employers are taken off. You want one employer. And I'm going to show you how to do this, okay? On your credit report, you want to make sure your name is correct, your date of birth correct, your address correct, your employer correct. Anything other than that, you're going to have them remove it. Take it off. Another reason why you want to do this is because a lot of banks and lenders and financial institutions, when they look at your credit report, right, and they see 5 addresses, what does that tell them? What does that tell them? Maybe this person isn't stable. Maybe this person gets kicked out of a lot of places he live at. He has no type of stability in his life. Do I really want to loan this person money that has 5 addresses on his credit report? Do I want to loan this person money that has 5 aliases? Because if the name is not your name, it's considered an alias. So if you got 5 aliases on your credit report, why do you have an alias? Were you being deceptive with somebody? This is how they think. So you want to make sure you got one name, one address, one date of birth, one employer on your credit report. Okay? And I'm going to show you how to do that. On this one, I want to show you, this is an actual, I hope you can see this. I did this last minute, but this is an actual TransUnion report right here. An actual TransUnion report. If you see the names reported at the top, look how many times they spelled his name. His name is Lawrence Owens. Look how many times they spelled his name. He has like 6 different ways that they spelled his name on his credit report. You want one. You want one way. One way. You want the real way. You want your name. All right? You want your name. They spelled his name 6 different ways on his credit report. And this is an actual credit report. Look at the addresses reported. He has 3 addresses. He has 3. He has 3 addresses. He only lives at one. But because those prior addresses, he probably applied for something at those addresses, that's the reason why they're on his credit report. That has to be removed. That has to be removed. You got to take that off. You only want one name, one address. Look at the phone numbers reported. He has 5 phone numbers. Every phone number he's ever had from the first cell phone he ever got until now. Like, you only want one phone number. Look at the employment. They got 5 employers. 5. Look at the years of employment. 95, 2006, 2007, 2007, 2021. 3 of them is actually the same job, but spelled incorrectly. Federal law says that has to be removed. Sierra said, how can you remove these addresses? Great question, Sierra. Great question. To show you right now. Great question. The first thing you want to do, now we're going to get into credit repair. All right, once you get a physical copy of your credit report, because you got to have an ink pen. You got to have paper. You got to be able to sit down and mark it. This wrong, this wrong, this wrong, this wrong. All right? Don't do it off a computer. Have a physical copy of your credit report. Step 1. Anyone that's ever been my clients would tell you this. Step 1, you want to freeze all your reports. You want to freeze all your reports. You want to go to transunion.com, Experian.com, Equifax.com. You want to freeze all your reports. Freeze them. Okay? You're going to freeze your reports. Remember earlier, we spoke about the secondary bureaus? After you freeze your reports, and if you hit me in the DMs, I'll see your email on how to do this, okay? It's not that difficult. It's really not that difficult. I'm telling you, credit repair is all about consistency and persistency. It's not that difficult. People only pay me and other companies to do it because we have the time to do it. But it's not rocket science to do this, okay? The first thing you want to do is you want to freeze transunion.com, Experian.com, Equifax.com. You want to freeze the big three. Freeze them. Those are your credit reports. You have control. They do not control your credit reports. They belong to you. And you have, by law, you can freeze them. Okay? Once you freeze them, the next thing you want to do is go to the secondary bureaus. I have them written down. You want to go to CoreLogic, Advanced Resolution, SageStream, Innovus, Teletrack, and LexisNexis. And you want to opt out of these services. Have you ever got what we call junk mail? And the junk mail at the bottom, it says this is a pre-screened offer. Well, the companies that I just quoted are the companies that send you the pre-screened offers. Those are the companies that are the CoreLogic, SageStream, Innovus, Teletrack, LexisNexis. Now, I want you to follow me on why you're going to opt out of these services. Let's say you go to an auto dealership and you're trying to purchase a car. And the dealership tells you they pull TransUnion. What's going to happen is this. Once you apply to purchase that car and they reach out to TransUnion and say, hey, look, Mo is trying to buy a car from us. TransUnion is going to reach out to these secondary consumer reporting agencies and say, hey, what information do you have on Mo? And they're going to supply whatever information they have, and then TransUnion is going to compile a report and give it back to the car lot. I'm going to say it again. I go to a car lot to buy a car. They pull TransUnion. I fill out the application. They run my credit report. TransUnion is going to reach out to these smaller consumer reporting agencies. They're going to ask them, what do you have on Mo? And they're going to comprise their information and send it back to them. So let's say LexisNexis is known for dealing with repossessions. Let's say that CoreLogic is known for if you had any kind of check fraud. Let's say each one of these companies specialize in something different. Each one. You know, even when it comes to evictions, each company specializes in something different. So TransUnion, Equifax, Experian, they reach out to these smaller companies and say, hey, what information you have on this person? And they send it to them. And then they send it to that lender. Then that lender determines if you get that loan or not. And I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, please hit me in the DM. Let's talk further about it. But it is so much when it comes to your credit and your credit reports. Like you guys have no idea. Like people are making billions of dollars a year billions of dollars a year furnishing our information to people without our consent. Without our consent. You never gave TransUnion, Equifax, Experian consent to mine your information. Never. And that's why the FCRA says that the only time that they can actually give someone your information is with your consent, basically meaning when you apply for something. Okay? The dispute process. Whenever you dispute anything on your credit, you're only going to dispute with Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Never, ever, ever talk to a collection company. Never. Never, ever, ever talk to a collection company. The only time we ever deal with a collection company if we're doing a pay to delete process. And what a pay to delete means is this. Let's say I owe Verizon $750 and a collection company picks up the Verizon bill and ABC Collection says, hey, look, if you pay us $300, we could settle this. The only way I would settle that if they send me in writing before I pay a pay to delete letter, meaning that if I pay you this money, you're going to go and delete that off my credit report because they have the power to do it. But this is what's going to happen. Normally with a pay to delete, they're not going to give it to you. They may lie to you and say, oh, we're going to do it. Just go ahead and pay it first. No. You send me the letter and say that you're going to delete it, then I will pay it. But they won't do that. Trust me, I've tried it 100 times. I have never, ever been successful with a pay to delete. Never been successful. Never. And because what they're going to say is, oh, if you pay us, we're reflected on your credit report that you paid. But on your credit report, it's going to say it's a paid collections. Okay? A paid collections to a lender is just as bad as the collections because he knows the process that you had to go through in order to get to a paid collections. Think about this. Before something go to collections, you get a 30-day late, a 60-day late, a 90-day late, a 120-day late, then it goes to collections. So you have 4 months to make that right. And it still went to collections. Lenders know that. So when they see a paid collections on your credit report, they know, okay, this person didn't pay this for 4 months. And then on top of not paying it for 4 months, negotiated a lower price with a collection company. And now it says paid collections. So as a lender, do you think I want to give you money? Do I want to give you money? Can I trust you with $25,000? Because that's how some of y'all be talking. Like I have people call me like, oh man, I need 25 bands, right? You couldn't handle a $500 credit card. A $500 credit card, and you want somebody to trust you with a $25,000 credit card. But you got a $500 credit card in collections. You got a $300 Victoria's Secret credit card in collections. And I'm only saying this because a lot of people really don't consider the fact that what you asking for versus what you've been through. It takes time. You got to rebuild. It took me 3.5 years. Literally, it took me 3.5 years to rebuild myself. And I started from a 410 credit score. I had 2 cars in repossessions. I had a house in foreclosure. Anybody know my story? No. It took me 3.5 years. It wasn't easy. It was not easy at all. But I did it. And you can too. So there are several ways to do a dispute. Several ways. All right. And we're going to talk about the first 3 because the bottom 3 are more complicated. And it's a lot more that deals with that. And with our company at Pleasant Management, we actually use all 6 of these and others in order to accomplish challenging letters and dispute. One method is a phone method, and we're going to talk about each one of these individually. There's a phone method that you can use for a credit dispute. There is a dispute letters method, 609. That's kind of like the most widely used is the 609 letters. And not only 609, we got 609, 611, 623. It's a bunch of them. Google it. It's a bunch of challenge letters. Again, it's not rocket scientists. I actually got suckered in when I first got into credit repair. I used to have guys tell me like, "Oh man, I got a letter. Every time I submit it, the negativity come off, the negative item come off." And I'd be like, "Yeah, for real? Yeah, man, send me $50. I'll send it to you." And I would cash out from $50 and they'll send me the letter. And the letter was like some shit off Google. Right? I'm letting you know, like, and I'm saying this, and I'm being a little facetious, but it don't take a rocket scientist to do this. It just takes time. All right? It takes a lot of time. It really does. It takes a lot of time. So you got the phone method. You got the 609 dispute letters method. You have the online method. A lot of people, for some reason, don't know about this. Like, you can actually challenge things on your credit online directly with the big 3, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. We're going to talk about that. And then the ones that we're not going to talk about is the Metro 2 compliance, filing a report with FTC, Better Business Bureau, the CFPB. I said Secretary of State, but it's actually the Attorney General. I know some of my mentors have been very, very successful filing complaints with Attorney Generals in the state. That's right, girl, losing to win. You already know. So they have been filing complaints with the Secretary of State. I'm sorry, the Attorney General, and they have got very, very positive responses. And last but not least, it's filing lawsuits. There's a guy on Instagram called I think the Credit Bully or the Consumer Bully or something like that. But he's widely known for filing lawsuits on the credit bureau. He's had some success. You know what I mean? He's had some success. But from the attorneys I've spoken with personally about filing lawsuits, first and foremost, you got to remember, attorneys want to get paid. So if they don't see a big benefit for them filing a suit against one of the bureaus, they're not going to do it. You know, if you're challenging, you know, let's say combined $7,000-8,000 worth of negative items on your credit report, for them, it's not even worth it. It has to be very, very egregious for them to take on your case. And remember, I said that right now to this day, according to the FTC, 70% of people have a negative item on their credit report that's preventing them from getting new credit, housing, product, services. 70% of people right now. All right. So now, this is the online method. You have 3 big 3 credit agencies, right? Consumer reporting agencies. You got TransUnion, Equifax, and you have Experian. Each one of them, if you just simply Google transunion.com/dispute, you will actually go straight to what I'm showing you right now on the screen, and you can challenge your credit reports directly on their sites. It's very easy, very simple. I know people that have had a lot of success doing this. Me personally, if I've had success combining everything together, I actually use this method as well as all the methods. Like I literally use all of them combined with every client that we have. But this method right here, again, you can get some success doing it. It's very straightforward. You don't have to write a paragraph about nothing. It's strictly clicking buttons. You know, why do you say it's not yours? Click, 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 click. It's not rocket science. And it's right online. And again, a lot of people didn't know this. A lot of people didn't know that you could actually dispute items on your credit report directly dealing with TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. You can go directly to them and dispute it. The next method is the phone method. The phone method is more towards inquiries. Like if you have a lot of inquiries on your credit report, I would definitely use the phone method. However, when it comes to the phone method, there are a couple of things that you really, really need to know. First of all, those are the actual phone numbers. Now, if you notice, I have numbers in black and I have numbers in red. The numbers in red is because sometimes with Experian and Equifax, they'll switch off on you. You have to remember, these people really don't want you to get in contact with them. They don't want you challenging anything on your credit report. They kind of want you to have bad credit because they can make money off of you having bad credit because they know you have to pay higher interest rates. You got to pay higher deposits. They understand that. These companies know that. So the reason why I have numbers in red and in black is because the black is the main numbers. The red are the numbers that are not even listed. I actually had to pay. I had to pay somebody for the red numbers. I had to pay somebody, and I'm giving it to you. But I had to pay somebody for the red numbers. But all these numbers work. And again, with the phone method, it's effective mostly with inquiries. If you're a person that has a bunch of inquiries, or there is a quote unquote hack, let's say you apply for something and you get denied, then you will call them immediately and be like, hey, I'm not the person that applied for that, to get that inquiry removed. You know what I'm saying? That's a hack that a lot of the gurus try to teach you. But that is effective. It does work. But one thing about the phone method is this, and I am being so honest when I say this. Understand with the phone method, you're not talking to people in the US. You have to be prepared for a long wait. If you're ever going to use the phone method, make sure it's a day that you don't have to go to work. And I really mean that sincerely. Like, I have been on hold for 3-4 hours using the phone method. Because remember, they do not want you to really challenge them. They really don't want you working on your credit. They don't. They make more money with you having bad credit than good credit. So I have personally been on hold for 4 hours using the phone method. Also understand this. With the phone method, you're not talking to Americans. Each one of these companies, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, they have outsourced their phone calls to the Philippines. So what I tell people is this: before you call, write everything down, because we're dealing with people that don't understand that American language, one word can have 3 meanings. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to use slang. Like, you want to be precise and firm and articulate about what you're trying to accomplish. And also understand that they've been trained to deny you of whatever you're trying to do, because they're going to read off a script. And I know this for a fact. Like, I've talked to one, hung up, and called another one, and they said the exact same thing the other guy said. So they've been trained to read off a script, and that script is to basically deter you from doing anything. All right? It's to deter you. So if you ever use the phone method, trust me, again, it has to be a day that you're off work. Understand that you're talking to someone from the Philippines. Understand that you're talking to someone who's been trained to deny you anything you're trying to do, but based off the fact that you prepared and you firm, you might get it accomplished, especially when it comes to inquiries. From my experience, it seems like when I call them about inquiries, it's easier to get them removed as opposed to saying, this account isn't mine. Like, when you talk about this account isn't mine, they're going to tell you to pretty much go to the website and file a dispute on the website. So to reiterate, when it comes to inquiries, I have been pretty successful calling them and challenging inquiries. But anything else, they will refer you to the website. Okay? We're almost done, guys, for the first one. I feel kind of good. How you guys feel tonight? Give me some comments. How you guys feel? Let me know how you feel. I know you can't read this because I can't. It's very small. Dirt Diggler. So now, dispute letters, 609 letters. This is where I said a guy tricked me into buying some letters because he told me that his letters got a lot of success. And the letters that I'm showing you right now are letters that are strictly off of Google. You don't have to pay for them. You really don't have to pay for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and again, there is no master way of fixing credit repair. Like, there is no master way of doing it. It's really just consistency. Like, understand this. Federal law says that if I send a challenge letter to the big three, TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax, if I send them a challenge letter, right, they have 31 days to respond. This is the reason why credit repair takes a while and why a lot of clients get frustrated. This is the reason why. January 1st, I sent a letter to TransUnion, Equifax, Experian. Hey, look, these accounts are not mine. I'm asking for an investigation, and I want you to remove them because they are, I see, erroneous activity. I don't want them. All right? They have 31 days to respond to me. In 31 days, and I guarantee you this, they're going to say that those accounts have been investigated and verified. Now, what they just did was illegal. It was illegal because the law says that you have to show me that those accounts are mine. Any account that you've ever agreed to, you signed a document. You signed a document. If you got a credit card, you signed a document. If you bought a car, you sign a document. If you got furniture, you sign a document. Anything you finance, you sign a document. So the only way they can verify that that account is yours, they have to send you a copy of the document. But this is what happens. When collection companies buy this huge amount of debt from companies, remember, they only send your name and your address. They don't send documents. In all the years I've been doing this, I think I've only seen 2 companies. I had 2 clients where the same company actually sent the documents, and that was Chase Auto. Chase Auto, I had 2 clients. Both of them had car repo, and we challenged the repo, and Chase Auto was like, nah, here you go. You bought that car. Like, here you go right here. Like, so once they did that, we had to go another way. So the point I'm trying to make is that you just keep trying different methods until something happens. I've had clients to where I sent the same letter. No, this is no bullshit. I've had clients where I literally sent the same letter 4 months in a row. And for 4 months, nothing shaked. And on that 5th month, the same letter, everything came off. The same letter. So it's really all about consistency. That's really it's about consistency. So these dispute letters that I'm talking about, these 609 letters, these letters are online. They're generally free. You don't have to pay for them, even though there's a lot of companies out there that do charge. They charge anywhere from $5 to, I've seen $75 for these letters. And basically, this is what the letter reads. It says, I am writing to dispute the following information on my credit report. The items I dispute also are encircled on an attached copy of the report from your bureau. This item, such as the creditors, and identify the type, is incomplete. I am requesting that the items be deleted to correct the information. That's it. You're literally saying that, hey, look, I want you to investigate and prove to me that this is my item. That's it. Prove to me. Because the law states that if it's on my credit report, you have to prove to me that it's mine. Because even if it's mine, I'm going to tell you that it's not. I'm going to say it's not. And that's how we get them. We say that you have to prove it because we know that 99% of the time they can't prove it. This is another copy of a 609 letter. And again, guys, I'm sorry. I know you can't read it, but if you hit me in the DMs, I'll send you a copy. And again, I got this straight off of Google. The only difference between this 609 letter and the one before, this 609 letter here is quoting law from this book. That's it. That's the only difference. It's quoting law from this book. That's the only difference. Only difference. The Fair Credit Reporting Act book. This is one of the hardest books in the nation to get. I think it's like on a 2-year back order right now because so many people got it. So many people got it. But this is the Bible of credit repair. This book right here is the Bible of credit repair. If you ever see anyone on social media and they're like, oh, 16 USC, 1581 states, and you really have no fucking idea what the fuck they saying, but it sound good. It make them sound like they're a lawyer. They quoting straight from this book. That's it. That's it. Because each of the consumer reporting agencies, aka credit bureaus, have guidelines. They have to regulate themselves from this book. This book is issued by the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission. Each one of those credit consumer reporting agencies have been sued repeatedly for deceptive practices. And I'm going to repeat it again. 70% of Americans have something on their credit report that's erroneous that prevents them from getting new credit, apartments, a vehicle, just a better life. 70%. Think about that. Think about that. And it's unfortunate because most of us, we don't think about credit until we need it. Oh, man, I got to move. I had a guy call me yesterday, man, I got to move in July. It don't work that way. I can't, it don't work that way. It don't. It don't work that way. Hey, man, I need a new car. It don't work that way. Credit don't work that way. You know, I've had clients that had bad credit for 20 years and they want to clear it up in 2 months. Credit don't work that way. The best time To fix your credit is when you don't need it. When you don't need it. And I tell everybody, life begins at a credit score of 705. Life begins. And I know this from experience. Because once I personally hit 705, it was like a whole new door. A whole new financial door opened up. Whole new financial door opened up. And I think a lot of us, we don't have faith in repairing our credit for several reasons. One, because there's a lot of scammers out there. And it is. It's a lot of scammers out there. Right? Another reason is because we don't know where to start. We don't know where to start. We don't know who to trust. You know what I'm saying? We don't know who to trust. We don't know where to start. So we just forget about it. Some of us, like me, had self-defeating attitude. It was like, I don't need it. Because my parents never taught me about credit. Their parents never taught them about credit. But I tell you something right now. I'm going to tell you something from experience. Information changes situations, man. Remember that. Information changes situations. You can't teach what you don't know. There's no more excuses in 2024. There's no more excuses. There's no reason why anybody should be living with bad credit. There's no reason. None at all. Especially when you see the examples of what good credit can give you. And I'm not bragging. I live in a great fucking neighborhood, but I never always lived here. I grew up in North St. Louis. Google that. I grew up in North St. Louis in a two-family household. My parents did their best and did a great job with me. Great childhood. My father was an entrepreneur, but you know something would stop my father from making millions of dollars? He knew nothing about credit. My father owned 2 restaurants, auto body shops, very well known in North St. Louis. Very well known, but my father didn't know nothing about credit. If my father knew about credit, my father would have made me a multimillionaire. And that's my goal. It's not about me. It's about my children. You can't teach what you don't know. Ain't no more excuses. Ain't no more excuses. You got to have financial discipline. You have to. When I lived in that shelter, guess what I was doing? I was bagging up peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every day going to work. 2 jobs on the bus. And I mean that from the heart. I watched my friends throw money in strip clubs. In strip clubs, my friends was throwing money in strip clubs while I was living in a shelter. I created financial discipline. I knew what I had to do. I knew what I had to do. I didn't date for a whole year. I was broke. The fuck I'm dating for? I was broke for a whole entire year. I didn't go to the movies. I didn't go to a restaurant for a whole year. I fixed my credit. I got myself together. You got to have discipline, man. And that's the reason why at the beginning of this, I talked about mindset. If you're not prepared here, if you're not prepared to stay at home on weekends, if you're not prepared to say, you know something, for Christmas, I can't buy nobody shit. I'll buy you a card from Dollar General, and I hope you appreciate it. You'll never make it. You'll never make it. And I mean that from the heart. You'll never make it. This shit ain't for the weak. It won't be easy, but it will be satisfying. I guarantee you that. It will be satisfying. So my next slide is another 609 letter. All right? And again, these 609 letters, you can get them online. They're nothing complicated. You're simply stating that I want you to investigate and I want you to provide me the information that you used in order to prove to me that this is my debt, because that's what the law says. All right. Everything we're talking about from federal law. The federal law says that TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian have to prove to you that this is your debt. Now, I said something earlier I want to revisit. I said that we do not talk to collection companies. All right. So anyone that's dealing with collections right now, do not ever, ever, ever have a conversation with a collection company. Remember what I said earlier. This is an attempt to collect the debt. This phone call is being recorded. If a collection company call you, simply state, I don't know who you're looking for, hang up. Please don't call me again, hang up. All right? Let that go. Because when you challenge your negative items through TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax, they send notice to the collection companies. And you will realize that what will happen is this. When you start challenging those negative items, and TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian is sending them notice, they will start sending you more letters trying to negotiate a payout. Ignore them. The only thing you don't ignore is they try to sue you. Do not ignore that, because they will sue you. Okay, I got clients right now that have been sued, particularly by LVNV, Midland Capital. It's another one. Can't think of it right now. But they will sue you. Do not ignore those. But the letters, the settlement letters, ignore them. Because what's happening is this here. TransUnion is sending a letter to the collection company saying, hey, show me proof that he owes you. Remember this. You don't owe the collection company. All right? Think about that. Think about that. You do not owe the collection company. You owe the creditor. Okay? If I enter into an agreement with Zales Jewelry Store, I go to Zales, I'm in the mall, I'm walking, they got a 20% off sale. I go there, I see a piece of jewelry I like. They offer me the credit. Oh, we're going to give you $10,000 credit line right now. You can get the jewelry and walk out the door. Oh, perfect. Sign the paperwork, get the jewelry, I walk out the door. I owe Zales. All right? Something financially happens in my life to where I can't pay Zales their $250 a month. And remember, you get 30-day late payment, 60-day late payment, 90-day late payment, 120-day late payment, collections. They're going to sell it to a collection company. The collection company contacts me. Hey, Midland Capital, on behalf of Zales, you owe us $6,000. I don't owe you. I don't owe you. I owe Zales. I'm going to take it a step further. In prison, all right, in prison, they got a thing called 2 for 1. You go to the store man in prison, you buy one item, you owe him 2. Sometimes the store man may get transferred to another prison before store day. And what the store man would do, he would go and get his best friend and say, hey guys, I'm getting transferred tomorrow morning. Give what you owe me to him. I don't owe him. I owe you. So if you get transferred, that's good on my behalf, because I'm not paying him. I never got anything from him. I got it from you. And that's the same way with collection companies. They bullies. You don't owe them. You never owe them. You never entered into an agreement with them. You entered into an agreement with the original creditor. And what your job is to fight them and say, I don't owe you. Because guess what? Zales did not give you my debt for free. You paid them for my debt. Therefore, you paid my debt. I'm going to say it again. Zales did not give you my debt for free. You paid Zales for my debt. So if you paid Zales for my debt, therefore, I don't owe nobody because I never asked you to pay them. I don't owe you. I owe Zales. And I've had situations to where I've actually went back to the original creditor to ask them to pull the debt back from the collection company. And you know what they told me? We gave that to them. You don't owe us anything. And I've actually had success with that, with them writing me a letter saying that you don't owe us anything. And I was able to send that to the bureau to say, hey, look, this company says that this client don't owe anything. He doesn't owe them. They had to remove it. So go to the last slide, Darius. The very last one. Let me hit it. This is just some references that I used tonight. And again, guys, if you need anything from me, I give it for free. You know what I'm saying? I give it for free. Like, if you got 5 hours to talk, I'll talk to you for 5 hours about this. Like, I am passionate about credit repair. I know how to change lives. I know how to change my life. I know how to change my children's life. But those are just some of the references that I've spoken about tonight, particularly with the online disputes with TransUnion.com, Experian.com, Equifax.com. I do have ebooks available. I think Darius is going to make one free available on YouTube. And I'll make sure you guys have all that information. If you want any of the challenge letters, I will give you those challenge letters for free. I actually have, before I leave, I'm glad I thought about this. When I told you about this book here, this book is like one of the most highly needed books in the nation right now. This book here. This book is so hard to get, the Fair Credit Reporting Act book. However, I have other information that I can give you guys. If you just hit me on the DMs, send me a message. And this information is from the Federal Trade Commission, okay? This is real stuff, right? This is hard to get. This is debt collection. Books about debt collection. This is a book about getting out of debt workbook. This is fixing your credit. This comes straight from the feds. Okay, what that question say? Hey, brother, does the company offer? Yes, we do trade lines. We do trade lines. Now, I'm going to tell you something about trade lines, too. I'm glad you asked. If anybody got any questions, let's throw them in the chats. With trade lines, you got to be real careful when you purchase trade lines. You got to be really, really careful. And the reason why is this. If you purchase a trade line, you want that trade line to have either anywhere from a 0 to a 10% balance. All right? Utilization. That's it. Either want a 0 balance or up to a 10% utilization. That's the only way a trade line will help you. And I say that to say this. I've had clients that ask their parents, grandparents, siblings, hey, put me on your card as a trade line. And let's say that sibling had a $5,000 card, but they owe $4,000 on the card. Well, that actually doesn't help you. It actually hurts you. Your score will actually go down because their utilization of the card is so high to where now you've adopted that utilization on your credit report that pushes your score down further. So anytime you deal with a trade line, whether it's me or anybody else, anytime you're dealing with a trade line, you want to make sure that that trade line is 10% utilization down to 0, because now that actually helps you. You know what I'm saying? It actually helps you. So Ron, that's actually a great question. That's an actual great question. All right, Dirk says that Ginger, I need that. It ain't got nothing to do with okay, no problem. All right, Dirk Diggler, I got you, man. No problem. So anybody got any questions before we leave? Any questions before we leave? And remember, we're going to do this once or twice a week. Next week, I'm going to try to get a young lady on the show with us. She is a real estate expert, and we're going to talk about how you can leverage your credit into real estate. And I said it because last year, we used one of my wife's credit cards to buy property last year. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the benefits of having credit. You know, we literally took her credit card, swiped it, and she bought her first real estate last year. And we're looking to purchase hopefully 2 more this year, swiping credit cards. You know, it's easier to get, you know, $150,000, $200,000 in credit cards than it is to get a $200,000 loan. And you can walk in any bank tomorrow and ask anyone behind the counter if I'm saying it's true. It is easier for me. I can do it personally. It's easier for me to get you $200,000 in credit cards than it is for you to go into a bank and get a $200,000 loan. And we can teach you how to take that $200,000 off the credit cards in order to purchase assets, because it's not about leisure anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's not about, you know, taking credit and flying overseas and having a good time over the weekend or going to Miami. And man, them days are over with. I'm telling you, if you think 2023 was rough, 2024 gonna kick some ass. I'm telling you. And you got to get yourself in position and be smart about your finances. And before we leave, I want to say this. I had a conversation with my oldest daughter, and my oldest daughter has a great job. She has no children. You know, she's 27. She has a nice vehicle, low car payment, low insurance. Where she lives at, the rent isn't that bad, especially for how much she makes. But she told me she was struggling financially. And I'm like, how are you struggling financially? Like, you have no kids. Your rent isn't exorbitant. You know, your car payments, your insurance, everything is reasonable. Like, how? She said, Daddy, I don't know. Like, I'm hurting. And I had my daughter come to my house, and we sat down and we wrote down everything she spends money on. And we were able to save $600 a month. And guess how? My daughter was door dashing every day at work. Every day she door dashed. $30 a day door dashing. That was $600 a month by itself, door dashing. My daughter had streaming services that she wasn't using. Hulu, Prime, ESPN, $39, $29, $9. She wasn't even using. She had games. She was paying $2.99 a month for it. She wasn't even using. And we sat down one Saturday and we eliminated so much of just extra resources she was putting out towards zero value. Zero value. And I'm telling you, I implore each and every one of you, tonight, tomorrow, before our next live, look at your resources. All right? Look at how many times you go out to eat, fast food, door dashing. You know what I'm saying? Look at what you're paying for as far as streaming services. Look at that. You would be surprised at how much money you literally just throwing out the window. You would be surprised. Everything that we discuss here, we actually do. I do not repeat. I do not regurgitate other people's bullshit. Anything I tell you, we do it. And I really mean that. So, hey, guys, look, I will see you next week. Please invite your friends. If you got value out of this, please make comments. I appreciate you guys. Everything we do from the heart. I am not the best at this, but I tell you what, I'm going to get better every week. And I really mean that. All right? You guys have a good night. Appreciate you.